Hello, I'm Katie Hagan, the Director of the Department of Industrial Relations. Today, I have some exciting news to share. We are thrilled to announce and celebrate the first $17 million in apprenticeship innovation funding that has been distributed in this first round of funding. Apprenticeship innovation funding, also known as AIF, is more than funding. It is a catalyst for growth and opportunity. It allows California to support new apprenticeship programs that are at the forefront of the industry. It's about investing in our most valuable resource, the people of California. These are programs that open doors and create new career pathways and empower Californians with the skills and confidence to thrive in high-paying and fulfilling careers. AIF funding focuses on sustaining and scaling apprenticeships in industries beyond traditional apprenticeships in the building and fire trades. These new apprenticeship sectors include healthcare, advanced manufacturing, technology, education, and many more innovative sectors. AIF provides critical funding to apprenticeship program partners and local education agencies that are supporting and training apprentices in new and innovative apprenticeships. This first round of AIF is providing critical funding and reimbursement for the costs of running those programs and training apprentices. We are already seeing the positive impact of AIF funding and the other investments into growing high-quality, equitable apprenticeships. In 2022, 18% more apprenticeships were created across these many sectors, and we are seeing that growth continue in 2023. I want to extend my thanks to the AIF awardees who are driving so much of this growth of opportunity. By partnering with California together, we're not just building skills, we're building futures. And we are nurturing the next generation of professionals who will lead California towards prosperity and innovation. Thank you for joining us to celebrate apprenticeship innovation funding.
Hello, my name is Adele Burns, and I am the Deputy Chief of California's Division of Apprenticeship Standards. And I'm so excited today to be announcing this first round of the Apprenticeship Innovation Funding. When we embarked upon creating this new innovative funding source, we really wanted to create a source of funding to help scale apprenticeships across many sectors. Now, apprenticeships are the gold standard of workforce development in that they create an earn and learn pathway into a career that recognizes that people need to be earning while they are upskilling and training for a job. So I'm very excited to be diving into this announcement, and just as a reminder, or for those who are learning about this for the first time, the Apprenticeship Innovation Funding, it's innovative because it offers formula funding to help scale apprenticeships. And as you can see here, just a reminder of what this formula looks like. So we have really two categories of funding. We have the support funding, which is aiming to support the cost of running an apprenticeship program. And that is, the formula on that one is $3,500 per apprentice per year, prorated to the month, plus a $1,000 completion bonus. And then the other category of funding is the training funding, which is really intended to help new programs develop training in an agile manner. And for those of you who know RSI, this is benchmarked to the RSI rate, which in 2022, which was our first year of implementing AIF, that rate was at $8.82 per training hour. So just as a reminder of sort of the structure of this funding is accessible to IACA programs, which are programs associated with the Interagency Advisory Committee on Apprenticeships, which is overseeing all apprenticeships outside of the building and fire trades. So these programs that are eligible for this AIF funding are those that are registered with DAS. And really the intent of this funding is to help these new programs to be able to sustain and to scale and to meet the needs of more employers. So AIF, it's a reimbursement model. So this is not a competitive grant process. So the awardees that you're hearing today are all eligible for this funding, and they were eligible for it based on the number of apprentices they served in 2022, and it's a reimbursement of their costs. And the expectation certainly is that programs will be submitting annually for this apprenticeship innovation funding. So without further ado, the first round of AIF funding What you see here are these two categories of support and training funding. So on the support side, we received 50 submissions for $16.2 million. And ultimately, we awarded 44 submissions, and really all of those that submitted and were eligible are receiving this funding. So ultimately, on the support side, we're awarding $15.4 million, and this is funding 6,000 apprentices across these IACA programs. And then on the training side, we certainly had fewer submissions on this side, which we expected because there are multiple ways that in the state of California, we cover the cost of training apprentices, and this was one new agile manner that was sort of addressing some gaps there. So we initially received 6 submissions, and 4 of those were ultimately eligible, and we awarded $1.8 million. So altogether, in this first round of AIF funding, we are awarding $17,358,198. That is clearly a formula amount for its exactness. So we are excited to share who exactly received this funding. So ultimately, as you saw in that last slide, there were 48 recipients of this funding. So we couldn't fit all 48 on one slide here, but we wanted to share who are the top 10 recipients of this AIF funding across both categories you see here. And what you can see represented here is a few different industries. We see public sector, we see advanced manufacturing, education, and what you're also seeing here is that there are 2 programs at the top of this list that certainly stand out in terms of the numbers. That is CPOST and PG&E. And I think these are great examples of longer standing, scaled public sector programs. In one case, it's a utility, in another case, it's public sector. But I really think that these are the demonstration of how this formula funding can lead to a sustainable budget to be running an apprenticeship program. And certainly in all of these cases of these top 10 AIF awardees, they're serving over 100 apprentices. And when you get to that level of scale, you can, with this funding, be funding some staff to be supporting the apprentices, supporting the employers, and ultimately scaling that program to serve more employers, serve more apprentices. And so it's really exciting to see these early programs that are adopters of this apprenticeship model across a variety of sectors. So just to give you a little bit more insight into the sectors represented in the full set of AIF funding, we see here, of course, with these big programs that were at the top of that list, public sector is strongly represented in this sector breakdown pie chart. But what's very exciting to see is that also in this mix is advanced manufacturing, education, transportation, healthcare, information technology, personal services, business services, and even a little bit of agriculture. So it's great to see a variety of sectors emerging here, and we know that new programs are getting off the ground and demonstrating how this model of apprenticeship can be used across a lot of different sectors, and we're excited about how this funding can help to scale those programs. So just to look a little bit more at the occupations by sector. So in the public sector, we have those big programs that we saw before with correctional officers and also electrical power line occupations here. Interesting to see in advanced manufacturing that we have manufacturing technicians, equipment technicians, mechanical technicians. We're very excited about the growth in the education space, where we see school counselors, preschool teachers, and bilingual teacher assistants emerging in the occupations represented. So that's exciting to see how that's growing. There's some great demonstration of transportation programs with occupations such as coach operator, automotive mechanics, avionics technicians. In healthcare, we're seeing early programs that are demonstrating how apprenticeship can be used to help upskill people to become registered nurses, to fill the needs of community health workers and optician dispensing, so an interesting variety of occupations there. And we're also seeing this mechanism of apprenticeship used in tech, so software developers and some of these cybersecurity occupations. So this just gives you a sense of some of the different occupations that are emerging across these diversity of sectors. I think this is probably the anecdote that I'm most excited to share, which is to see the wages of the AIF funded apprentices in this first mix. And in the AIF process, we gathered information both about the hourly wage and also the hourly compensation package, which includes any health benefits that are being offered to apprentices. And what is great to see here is that we see a wage range, or for the compensation package, that range from $17.75 to $95.17, which is incredibly exciting, and there's an average wage of $53.30. And this is just very exciting to me because I see in the numbers how apprenticeship is providing economic mobility to people, and it's helping people to enter into an occupation and to really see their wages increase and their skills be recognized through those wage increases in apprenticeship. So that's a few insights on the AIF in its first batch, and I think it's really important to also zoom out on what is the impact of this funding overall. And this was some forecasting that we did originally when we embarked on this journey to create this apprenticeship innovation funding. And so much of the impetus for this funding was this big goal that our Governor Gavin Newsom has put forth to serve 500,000 apprentices by 2029. So we did some forecasting to look at how do we need to grow apprenticeships to meet that goal. And so what you're seeing here is some of this original forecasting. In terms of the yellow line being the number of apprentices served over time, and the orange and blue bars here being both apprenticeships on the IACA side, which is what we've been focusing on here today, and also the CAC side, which is the building trades apprenticeships. But as you can see, a lot of the growth we expect to be in these IACA programs, and this AIF funding has been so critical to helping these programs to scale. So when we made these initial investments into growing apprenticeship, we knew we had to be growing IACA apprenticeships by 15 to 20% in order to really meet those goals. And what you see in the green here is the status quo. If we had not made any investments to grow apprenticeship, what would that look like? So we knew we had to be growing. And what's very exciting to see in this, comparing the original forecasting around IACA apprenticeships specifically, and then looking at the actuals in these first few years of implementing this apprenticeship innovation funding. So in the light blue is the forecast, and in the dark blue are the actuals. And that yellow line is that same yellow line of forecasting, how are we going to meet that 500K goal? And what's great to see is that we are already growing IACA apprenticeships. In 2022, we grew them by 18%, which you heard from Director Hagan earlier. And already so far this year, as of October, we've grown it by 15%, and we're not even done with the year. So we're really excited to see how this growth is moving the needle and how these investments are moving the needle. And this is just zooming in on the actuals here, because I think it's really exciting to take a moment to see the impact of these investments on the growth of apprenticeship. And again, in the light blue was the forecast, and the dark blue is the actual. So pretty easy to see here how we are outperforming what we originally projected. And in the lines on top, the green would have been the status quo if we had made no changes, if we had made no investments. And the yellow is what we originally forecasted, and the dark blue is the actual. So what's just really exciting to see here is, initially we expected that these investments in 22 might have a bit of an impact and maybe more of an impact in 2023. And the actual numbers on the impact of these investments show that we have grown new registrations into apprenticeship by over 2,000 apprentices in 2022. Which is what we're talking about today. Those apprentices are those that are funded in this first round of AIF funding. And already we're seeing in 2023 that we're serving 4,000 more apprentices than initially forecasted. So ultimately, we are achieving the goals that we set out for with this apprenticeship innovation funding and with the various investments into growing apprenticeships. And our goal was to grow registered apprenticeships across many sectors, and we're really achieving that goal. And we know that this growth is only possible through the partnership with so many of you out there that are growing apprenticeship programs, be it the program sponsors, the employers who are thinking about talent differently, the educators who are partnering with those employers to meet those needs. And we're really excited to be hearing about the impact of this AIF funding on these programs.
Good morning. My name is Charles Henkels, and I'm part of the Launch Apprenticeship Network team. Launch serves as an intermediary for businesses and education institutions establishing new and innovative apprenticeship programs in a variety of industry sectors. This includes information technology, healthcare, advanced manufacturing, logistics, community health and social services, automotive technology, and education. During this apprenticeship initiative, we've served over 1,000 apprentices. Approximately 500 are currently active, and we've graduated 238. Our network of employer partners ranges from small businesses to international corporations, public agencies, and nonprofit organizations. We also partner with labor unions seeking to build and administer programs. At Launch, we focus on program development that integrates apprenticeship programs with our secondary and post-secondary education system, as we seek to make apprenticeship a widespread and well-known option for all residents seeking better jobs and careers. This means establishing programs for youth, integrating an apprenticeship with degree pathways, and supporting capacity building efforts for organizations that are brand new to apprenticeship. Launch was originally created by the community colleges in the Inland Empire, and we now have a robust network of community college partners throughout the state, in addition to partnerships with high schools and universities. Apprenticeship innovation funding opens new doors for our apprentices by reinforcing operational structures across businesses and educational partners. Whereas grant projects often focus on particular occupations, industry sectors, or specific locations and organizations, AIF funding provides our growing network a way to remain apprentice-centered. Because it's formula-based funding, we can use it to help our programs achieve greater scale and sustainability as each successful apprenticeship opens the door to the next. While we can still use grant funds to launch new programs and to provide immediate capacity for specific projects, AIF funding creates a foundation and resource for the operational costs of scaling these programs long-term. As an intermediary, it's helping us build capacity to expand the resources we provide education and industry partners, and it's also helping us standardize effective practices across a broad range of partners. I would encourage all organizations working on developing apprenticeship programs to explore AIF funding or to connect with intermediaries that incorporate AIF funding into their services. AIF funding can support apprentices in your program.
It's amazing to hear the impact of this funding on programs, and we're so excited about how that's continuing already in 2023, and we're already looking to 2024 and how we're going to keep growing apprenticeships and keep deploying this apprenticeship innovation funding. So we want to be sure to be hearing from you all, both from the folks who have applied for and been awarded the apprenticeship innovation funding, those who might have been eligible but that didn't go for the funding, or those that are hoping to go for the funding. We want to hear your feedback. So we have a feedback survey open right now in the month of December of 2023, and public comment is due on that by January 3rd of 2024. So we hope that you'll take the time to offer that feedback for us. And we are looking to open up year 2 of the apprenticeship innovation funding for those apprentices served in 2023, and we will be opening up those applications in the first quarter of 2024. So stay tuned for that. One of the changes that will be in this next process is that we will be processing submissions on a rolling basis. So we hope that that just speeds up the whole process for everyone involved. And so to those apprenticeship programs out there that are already registered with us, please make sure that your apprenticeship data is up to date. We hope that new programs are signing up with us, and we're just really excited about continuing this growth of IACA apprenticeships. And finally, I just want to wrap with a huge congratulations to all of the first round recipients of this apprenticeship innovation funding. You are pioneers in what you're doing, and we're so excited to be partnering with you and growing these earn and learn opportunities in California.